Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Supporting the channel allows us to continue producing investigative documentaries that explore history's most enduring mysteries. For thousands of years, the pyramids have stood as silent witnesses to human ambition, engineering genius, and unanswered questions. They are among the most studied structures on Earth, yet they continue to resist simple explanations. Every generation believes it is closer to solving their secrets, and every generation discovers new puzzles instead. Conventional archaeology presents the pyramids as monumental achievements of ancient labor, organization, and architectural precision. According to mainstream historical consensus, they were built as royal tombs, designed to honor pharaohs and secure their passage into the afterlife. This explanation is supported by inscriptions, burial traditions, and comparative evidence from other ancient Egyptian structures. Yet, alongside this academic framework exists a parallel conversation, one driven not by rejection of evidence but by curiosity about what remains unexplained. The sheer scale of the pyramids, the precision of their alignment, and the logistical challenges of their construction continue to spark debate among researchers, engineers, and historians alike. Some scholars emphasize human ingenuity, others focus on technological mysteries still under discussion. The Great Pyramid of Giza, in particular, occupies a unique place in this debate. Its alignment with cardinal directions is so precise that modern instruments struggle to improve upon it. Its internal chambers reveal mathematical proportions that suggest advanced planning and extraordinary discipline. These features do not invalidate historical explanations, but they expand the conversation. They force us to recognize that ancient civilizations possessed levels of organization and knowledge that modern audiences often underestimate. What makes the pyramids truly fascinating is not a single hidden answer. It is the intersection of archaeology, astronomy, mathematics, and symbolism. They exist at the crossroads of science and myth, where documentation ends, interpretation begins. And interpretation has always been part of humanity's relationship with the past. The pyramids are not merely relics, they are questions carved into stone. They ask how ancient societies mobilized resources, how knowledge was preserved across generations, and how memory transforms into legend over time. They remind us that history is not static. It evolves as new evidence appears and old assumptions are re-examined. In this documentary, we will examine both the established historical record and the enduring mysteries that continue to surround these monuments, not to replace evidence with speculation, but to explore how curiosity drives discovery. Because the greatest danger in studying the past is not asking too many questions, it is believing the questions are finished. The mystery deepens when we examine what the pyramids do not contain. For structures traditionally described as royal tombs, the Great Pyramid holds a striking absence. There are no elaborate wall carvings celebrating a ruler's life, no preserved burial treasures comparable to other Egyptian tombs, no detailed funerary texts covering its interior walls. This silence has fueled centuries of speculation, not because it disproves the tomb theory, but because it leaves room for unanswered questions. Ancient Egyptian civilization documented nearly everything. Rituals, harvests, astronomical observations, and royal achievements were carefully recorded. Yet the construction process of the largest pyramid remains curiously underdescribed. There are fragments of logistical evidence, worker villages, and quarry marks, but no surviving master blueprint explaining how such a project was orchestrated at full scale. This gap does not imply impossibility. It highlights the fragility of historical records. Time erases more than it preserves. Engineers studying the structure often speak with a mixture of admiration and caution. The pyramid's internal temperature remains remarkably stable. The weight distribution prevents structural collapse after thousands of years. Its geometry suggests intentional relationships between mathematics and astronomy. Some researchers propose symbolic interpretations linking the pyramid to celestial cycles, while others emphasize practical architectural mastery. The tension between symbolism and engineering remains unresolved, and perhaps intentionally so. Throughout history, the pyramids have attracted interpretations shaped by the era observing them. Ancient Greeks saw them as monuments to lost wisdom. Medieval travelers described them as relics of a vanished golden age. Modern scientists analyze them through physics and geology. Each generation projects its questions onto the stone, and the stone refuses final answers. This resistance to certainty is part of the pyramid's power. They function not only as historical artifacts, but as mirrors reflecting human imagination. Where evidence ends, myth begins. And myth is not always false. It is a language societies use to express awe toward what they cannot fully explain. Some historians argue that the true mystery is not how the pyramids were built, but how modern observers underestimate ancient capability. We inherit a bias that equates age with primitiveness. Yet, the archaeological record repeatedly contradicts this assumption. Ancient societies were not simple. They were sophisticated, adaptive, and intellectually ambitious. The pyramids may represent the peak of that ambition rather than anomaly. Still, the emotional reaction remains. When standing before the Great Pyramid, many visitors describe a sensation difficult to articulate. It is not merely scale, it is presence. The structure feels intentional, beyond function, as if designed not only to endure physically, but to provoke psychological impact across millennia. This sensation cannot be measured by instruments, but it has been reported consistently across centuries. Perhaps the greatest mystery is endurance. Empires collapse, languages disappear, ideologies fade, but the pyramids remain. They outlive interpretation. They outlast certainty. And in doing so, they transform from architecture into message. A message that humanity has always been capable of building beyond its own lifetime. In the next part, we will explore the astronomical dimension of the pyramids and the possibility that these monuments were designed as markers in a cosmic timeline rather than isolated structures of stone. When viewed from above, the pyramids reveal a pattern that ancient builders could never have seen from the ground. Yet modern satellite imagery shows a striking relationship between the Giza plateau and the stars above. Some researchers have noted alignments that appear to mirror celestial configurations, particularly the Belt of Orion, a constellation deeply connected to Egyptian cosmology. This resemblance has fueled decades of debate, not because the pattern is universally accepted, but because the precision invites interpretation. Ancient Egyptian religion was inseparable from astronomy. The sky was not decoration, it was a map of meaning. The afterlife was imagined as a journey through the stars, and pharaohs were believed to join celestial realms after death. If architecture functioned as a bridge between earth and sky, the pyramids may have been designed as more than monuments. They may have served as instruments, anchoring cosmic ideas into physical form. Inside the Great Pyramid, narrow shafts extend from hidden chambers towards specific regions of the sky. These shafts are too small for passage and too precise to be accidental. Some scholars interpret them as symbolic. Corridors aligned with star systems associated with rebirth and eternity. Others caution that astronomical correlations can be overstated. Yet even the skeptics acknowledge that ancient Egyptian builders possessed extraordinary observational knowledge of the heavens. The deeper mystery is intention. Did the architects encode astronomical data deliberately, or are modern observers projecting patterns backward through time? This tension lies at the heart of pyramid research. Human beings are pattern seeking by nature, but so were the ancient Egyptians. They constructed calendars, tracked solstices, and predicted celestial cycles with impressive accuracy. To them, the sky was a clock, and architecture may have been its stone reflection. Across cultures, monuments aligned with stars appear repeatedly. Megalithic sites in Europe, temples in Mesoamerica, and structures in Asia demonstrate similar obsessions with celestial order. This raises a provocative question. Was there a shared human impulse to synchronize civilization with the cosmos? Or did knowledge travel farther in antiquity than modern history assumes? What remains undeniable is that the pyramids compress time. They link human mortality with astronomical permanence. The stars move in cycles lasting tens of thousands of years. The pyramids stand within those cycles as fixed markers, as if inviting future observers to measure their own era against the sky. Some researchers propose that the pyramids function as a message stretched across millennia, not a coded instruction, but a philosophical statement. They declare that civilizations rise and fall, yet the cosmos continues, indifferent to human drama. By aligning with the heavens, the builders may have been anchoring their culture to something eternal. Standing beneath the desert sky, the pyramids create a strange illusion. They feel less like relics of the past and more like coordinates in a timeline we are still traveling. Their true purpose may never be reduced to a single explanation. And perhaps that is the final design, to remain open, to provoke questions long after their creators are gone. In the next part, we examine the engineering paradox of the pyramids and why modern technology still struggles to replicate their precision. Beyond archaeology and astronomy lies a quieter layer of interpretation, one that ancient traditions would have recognized immediately. The pyramids have long been viewed not only as structures but as symbols. Esoteric schools across centuries interpreted them as diagrams of consciousness rather than mere architecture. In this reading, the pyramid becomes a map of transformation, a stone metaphor for the ascent of awareness. The pyramid shape itself is mathematically simple yet philosophically loaded. A broad base rising toward a singular point has been read as a journey from multiplicity toward unity, from the chaos of the material world toward concentrated awareness. Some esoteric traditions describe this geometry as a visual language, a reminder that elevation is achieved through alignment rather than force. The higher the ascent, the narrower the path. Inside the pyramid, the movement from chamber to chamber has been interpreted symbolically as stages of initiation. Dark passages open into hidden rooms. Light disappears and reappears. This architectural choreography resembles ritual journeys found in mystery traditions worldwide. In these traditions, descent precedes revelation. One must pass through darkness to encounter clarity. Whether intentional or projected, the parallel is difficult to ignore. Ancient Egyptian spirituality itself was deeply concerned with transformation. The concept of the afterlife was not passive survival, but active becoming. The soul was believed to navigate trials, measurements, and judgments before reaching equilibrium. Some esoteric historians argue that the pyramid encoded this spiritual philosophy into physical space, allowing architecture to function as a teaching instrument. Later philosophical movements adopted the pyramid as a universal symbol. Alchemists in medieval Europe used similar geometric metaphors to describe the refinement of the self. Enlightenment thinkers reinterpreted the pyramid as a structure of knowledge, layered and ascending. Modern psychology even echoes the image when describing hierarchies of human development. The symbol persists because it translates abstract growth into visible form. What makes these interpretations powerful is not whether they are provable, but whether they resonate. Symbols survive because they compress complex ideas into shapes the mind can hold. The pyramid may be one of humanity's oldest cognitive diagrams, a reminder that civilizations build outward, but individuals build inward. There is a reason monuments endure when empires vanish. Stone outlives ideology, but symbols outlive stone. The pyramids occupy both realms. They are physical structures carrying conceptual weight across thousands of years. They invite technical analysis and spiritual reflection at the same time. Few human creations achieve that dual presence. Perhaps the ultimate mystery is not hidden chambers or lost technologies. Perhaps it is intention across time. The builders may have known their meanings would evolve. They may have designed structures capable of absorbing interpretation rather than resisting it. In doing so, they ensured the pyramids would never become obsolete. They would remain active participants in human thought. In the final part, we step back from the stones themselves and examine what the pyramids reveal about humanity's need to build beyond its lifetime and why every civilization leaves messages for futures it will never see. When we step back from measurements, theories, and interpretations, the pyramids confront us with a simpler and more unsettling realization. They were built for a future the builders would never see. Every stone placed was an act of faith in time itself, a declaration that meaning can outlive the hands that create it. Civilizations are temporary. Architecture is their argument against disappearance. The pyramids represent one of humanity's earliest attempts to speak across millennia, not through language, which erodes, but through form, which endures. They are messages without sentences, structures that communicate through presence rather than explanation. What they say depends on the observer. To engineers, they speak of precision. To historians, of organization and power. To mystics, of ascent and transformation. To skeptics, of human exaggeration and myth-making. The pyramids contain all these voices simultaneously because they were never meant to belong to a single interpretation. They were designed to survive interpretation itself. This is why they remain alive in modern imagination. They resist closure. Every definitive answer produces new questions. Their mystery is not a failure of knowledge. It is a function of scale. When human effort approaches eternity, it stops being fully explainable. It becomes symbolic by necessity. Across history, monuments signal a civilization's priorities. Some build temples, some build fortresses, some build archives. The ancient Egyptians built mountains shaped by intention. They chose permanence over comfort. They invested resources into continuity rather than immediacy. In doing so, they forced future generations to confront a difficult question: what are we building that will outlast us. The pyramids suggest that legacy is not accidental, it is engineered. They remind us that cultures capable of imagining deep time behave differently. They plan beyond lifetimes. They design with patience. They measure success not by speed but by endurance. And perhaps that is the final lesson hidden within their shadow. Human beings are not defined only by survival, we are defined by what we leave behind: art, knowledge, structures, stories. We construct external memory to compensate for internal fragility. The pyramids are memory turned into landscape. They are history refusing to disappear. One day, our cities will erode. Our technologies will seem primitive. Our explanations will be incomplete. Future observers will stand among our remains and wonder what we believed about ourselves. They will invent theories. They will project meaning. They will repeat the same ritual we perform now. In that sense, the pyramids are not ancient, they are contemporary. They are mirrors, showing how every civilization attempts the same impossible task: to anchor a fleeting species inside an infinite timeline. And the stones are still speaking, not because they contain answers, but because they continue to ask the question, what will remain of us?